Welcome back. Well, President Musharraf's alliance with Washington has long drawn criticism from some quarters at home. But his pledge to crack down on the Taliban and Islamic militants has won him strong backing from the US. The official line over the weekend from Washington was that he'd continue to be supported as long as he carried on fighting extremists and committed himself to further social, economic and political reform. Promising to embrace liberal values has won Musharraf billions of dollars in American aid. But critics argue that his continuing dual role as head of the military and state is one that's not conducive to real democratic change. Well, let's rejoin our guests now. In Islamabad, Senator Tariq Azim Khan, Pakistani Minister of State for Information and Broadcasting. And from Dubai, Javed Malik, he's a political analyst and executive director of the World Forum. Tariq Azim, let me start with you, if I may. There was this famous quote from a US official after September the 11th that said if Pakistan didn't cooperate on the war on terror, it would be bombed back to the Stone Age. Do you think Pakistan is a willing or unwilling ally in the war on terror?
Well, first of all, that quote was, which you have just quoted, is a wrong quote. That was never mentioned. It was translated from Urdu into English, and that's what made all the difference. But anyway, having said all that, Pakistan's role in war on terror is because we believe in it. We have not been pushed into it because we believe that terrorism is not good for anybody. And Pakistan itself has suffered from terrorism. Pakistan has seen the president himself being attacked by these terrorists. He had, as you mentioned earlier, 3 or 4 attempts on his life. The Prime Minister had a suicide attack on him. We have seen the terrorism's effect in major cities in Pakistan. We have seen the Kalashnikov culture. And this has all been a fallout from the Afghan war, where we were all partners in the free world, and when the Russians had occupied Afghanistan. And Pakistan, when the whole Afghanistan episode finished and the Russians left Afghanistan, Pakistan was left holding a baby, a very heavy baby at that. Nobody worked out an exit strategy. That you had brought in people, the fighters at that time, they were the jihadis. Everybody loved them, everybody trained them, everybody financed them, and they were left high and dry. When everybody left, nobody cared what will happen to them. And these are the people, then they started moving in between Afghanistan and Pakistan, and now everybody is seeing the consequences.
Okay, let's...
so in Pakistan... Yeah.
No, I was going to just bring in Javed Malik in Dubai here, because President Musharraf is under pressure because of his relationship with America as an ally in the war on terror. How much is that increasing religious and political divisiveness in Pakistan, do you think?
Well, first of all, I will agree with Senator Tariq Azim there that Pakistan was left with the baggage of what was the Soviet, sort of downfall and American-led freedom movement there in Afghanistan. And as a result, Pakistan continues to suffer until today. And the war on terrorism, which is, of course, has 2 fronts, the internal and the external. And in terms of what you mentioned here, is the ethnic or the religious divisions. Now, Pakistan is an Islamic country. There is, of course, a component within Pakistan that believes in some kind of an extremist ideology. But the majority of the people are moderate and enlightened. They want to, of course, play an equal role in the development. They want to be partners with the US. They want to be partners with the West as well as the Arab world without compromising their identity. What, however, is worrying for many people is when people, perhaps within the border areas of Pakistan and other Muslims are being targeted or perceived to be targeted by their own forces. That is something which troubles people. And also what troubles people is the relationship that America has with Pakistan in terms of, on the one hand, America talks about democracy around the world. Of course, we saw the 2 wars where the main pretext was to bring freedom and democracy to the world. Whereas, according to many political analysts in Pakistan, when the president is wearing a uniform, that's hardly democracy.
That's a very good point. That's a very good point, which I want to put to Tariq Azim, because there's increasing opposition to President Musharraf hanging on to his dual role as head of the army and president, as Javed just said there. Can Pakistan ever have true democracy if he remains in charge of the army?
Well, let me first of all give you some facts, Mr. Jordan. President was allowed this dual role. He didn't take it on himself. This role was allowed to him, as was in fact pointed out by Mr. Malik, It was allowed to him by the parliament. They allowed him these two roles. They allowed him the uniform, and he can keep the uniform constitutionally and legally till end of this year. Now that is one thing. He is coming up for re-election. His election comes up between 15th of September to 15th of October. Now if the parliament wants to elect him in uniform or out of uniform, it's nobody else's business. It's the business of the parliament to elect him. As far as the democracy goes in Pakistan, let me tell you something. Ironically and paradoxically, what a man in uniform has given to democracy, many civilian leaders put together could not give to Pakistan. For example, stability to start with. The first time in Pakistan's history, the parliaments, they will first time, whether it's at the national level, at the provincial level, they will all of them will complete.
Okay, listen, I have to get one last thought.
Before.
One last thought from Javed Malik in Dubai. Javed Malik, are free and fair elections in Pakistan now the only way out of the current political crisis for the president?
Well, as the minister has said that the president, there are two elections here, Darren, if I may. One is, of course, the elections of the president, which, as Senator Tariq Azim has rightly pointed out, the president has to take before the 15th, between, of course, the 15th of October, before the 15th of October, as he has said. And there are, of course, the other elections, which are the parliamentary elections, which, as also the minister has said, that first time we've seen the 5 years of parliament being completed. But the question here is whether President in uniform may technically allow him, the constitution may technically allow him. But there have been questions asked not just from the opposition, but also from the party, which is the party of the minister here, about the moral strength of such a decision, whether the president would feel morally strong if he was to go for elections by the current parliament, primarily because this parliament itself has a life of 5 years, and how can that parliament then elect a president for 10 years?
Okay, Javed Malik, I'm afraid we've run out of time. We have to leave it there. Javed Malik in Dubai and Senator Tariq Azim in Islamabad, thank you very much indeed. And thank you so much for joining us here on this edition of Inside Story. We welcome your comments and suggestions. Please email them to us at insidestory@aljazeera.net. From the whole team here, goodbye for now.